Are you looking to learn how to use 3D lights and 3D cameras within After Effects? Well, if so, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Tom Graham for Envato Tuts Plus, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use 3D lights and 3D cameras in After Effects to kind of manipulate your 2D assets in a three-dimensional space. It sounds complex, but it's actually quite easy, and it's going to add a lot of dimension to your animations. Now, this video is of course brought to you by Envato Elements, which is a super easy to use subscription-based service that gives you access to millions of digital assets that you can download and use in your projects right away. And I'm talking about things like stock footage, video templates, and fonts, and there's so much more on there as well. So click the link in the description below to find out a little bit more about Envato Elements today. Right now, let's move on to After Effects. So let's jump into it very quickly. New composition. We'll make this 1920 by 1080. 25 frames is what I'm working in. We'll keep it 5 seconds, that's easy. And we'll just call this 3D Wow. In 3D Wow, let's bring our paper texture and our Tuts Plus logo in, making sure our logo is over the top. And with the paper texture selected, let's just make sure that this is just scaled slightly bigger than our composition settings there. Now the next thing we need to do is highlight both of these and make them 3D. And we can do that using this switch here. So if I hover over this, 3D layer allows this layer to be manipulated in 3 dimensions. So let's turn that on for both layers. Now you'll see it hasn't done much physically up in our viewer here, but what it has done is given us an X and Y rotation value, and it's giving us some material options down here, which we'll get into shortly. It's also allowed us to change some camera settings over here. So it's gone to classic 3D. If yours automatically goes to Cinema 4D, put it back to classic 3D for the time being. So the next thing we're going to do to make our lives a lot easier is change this to a 2 view, and that gives us a top-down view on the left-hand side and then our active camera view on the right-hand side. If you don't see the top-down view on the left-hand side here, that's fine. Just click into this space and you'll get the little arrows in the corner. That means that you can now manipulate this side of things. Go down here into this drop-down and make sure it hits top. You can try the other ones and see if they work for you, but top will work best for this application, and I'll show you why right now. So basically the top-down view is looking at our composition here and looking at it from top down. So at the moment we're seeing both of these assets and we can tell that they're on one 3D plane here. So if I grab the paper texture and I just grab our little Z axis here and push back, it looks like I'm shrinking the size of it in our active camera, but actually I'm just pushing it further back in space. So clicking our paper texture here, hitting S, just bringing that bigger again, still keeping it at the back, and then with our Tuts Plus logo, grabbing the Z axis here. Look, it looks like we're zooming in, but we're not. We're just bringing it closer to the camera. So let's keep it around the middle for now, and we'll play around with the camera in a moment. The next thing we need to do is bring our lights in. So we're going to right click, New Light. And it's going to give us a few options here. We've got spot, parallel, point, or ambient. Right now, we're going to work with spot. You can definitely play with all of these different lights and all of these different settings and see what works for you, but spot is good for this purpose. So just keep all of these settings here as they come up, and then we'll go back and refine them later. Hit OK. You can see immediately that it's added a spotlight to our composition, and it acts like a normal spotlight would in real life. So the further away we go, the more light spills out onto all of our elements. The closer we go, the more light kind of narrows down into a spotlight. So let's pull it back to around about here. Just a little bit of fall off on the edges. If we double click back into the spotlight, it's going to let us change things. So let's just change the intensity to see what it does. Ooh, blows out. Let's go back to 100. So if we wanted to change the fall off, which is basically the ramp between white and black in terms of our shadows, we can change that here. If we go down to inverse square clamped, it's going to make things very dark, but then if we bring the radius up, we're going to kind of get back to where we were there, but have a much nicer, more natural shadow there. So the next thing, let's just make sure this says cast shadows, and then we'll click OK. Clicking on our Tuts Plus logo here, if we go down into those material options that we mentioned before and click cast shadows, turn that on, basically that's going to let our logo in 3D space cast shadows onto whatever 3D object is behind it. In this case, it's our paper background. Now, if I click back into the light and start to move the light around, you'll see that that shadow parallaxes the same way a normal shadow would. If you moved a light closer to or further from or left or right, it's going to create a parallax because this logo is sitting in the middle of our space, and then our background is sitting further back in our space. So if we go back into our light here, double click on it, and we go to our shadow diffusion, let's just diffuse that shadow out a little bit so it's not as sharp, and we'll just change the shadow darkness down a little bit so it's not too distracting. So now if we move it around, we can see there's that nice parallax. And if we play this through, it looks pretty cool on our paper background. But I think personally, we're losing too much around the edges here. So let's add one more light. We can go right click, New Light, and let's go to Ambient this time. and we'll just keep it at 100%. Whoa, that's too much. So double click and we'll pull this ambient light down just so that we're starting to get a little bit on the edges there and it's not too dark. That looks pretty good. We don't want to blow things out too much. So let's just go 5. I think that's going to work well. And with our spotlight selected, let's just pull that back a little bit further. There we go. That's all looking nice and moody now. All right, so let's animate things now. We'll drag back to our timeline here and grab our spotlight. And let's just zoom out a little bit so we've got more room to work. Dropping down here, going into our transform properties, let's select point of interest, position, and orientation, and create keyframes at the start of our composition here. So let's move our light to where we want it to be at the very start, moving it just by using the X and Z axis here, and then grabbing the point of interest and pointing it back towards our logo. And then moving down maybe 2 seconds or so and doing the same, repositioning our light where we want it to be. And we can kind of just make this up as we go, grabbing the orientation there. That looks pretty good. So as you can see here, it's moving from left to right. I actually think I want to bring this transition all the way to the end, and I want it to go a little bit further around to create a real nice side light. And I'm going to just drop it down a little bit so that our shadow goes up on the back wall there. So let's pull this back and see what that's looking like through the entire animation. So that looks all right. So let's just highlight all of our keyframes here and just right click, Keyframe Assistant and Easy Ease. You can do that with F9 on your keyboard as well. So that just gives us a little bit more snap to it. So it looks pretty interesting, but I think we can make it a little bit more complex. As we're working in 3D space, it means we can actually move our camera's point of view in 3D space as well. So let's right click, New Camera, and it's going to give you a dialog box here. Basically just hit OK. You can change things to your heart's content, but have a play around with that yourself and see what works. There's a lot of settings here that you can change. So now it hasn't really changed too much in our active camera, but if we have selected our camera 1 here and we grab on the Z space, we're now moving towards and away from our 3D assets. So let's move all the way in, and just when this goes full screen black on the Envato logo there, we'll drop down our transform properties here. We're going to select point of interest and position, and we're going to create keyframes. We'll drag all the way to the end when our other animation finishes, and let's just pull that Z axis back and make sure our logo centers right in the middle, and making sure we don't go too far away so our background object stays within the composition. And let's just ease these keyframes as well. Right click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. And let's just play this back. And the last thing that you can do just to sell this effect a little bit more is add some motion blur to both of these elements. So just clicking the motion blur switch here on our Tuts Plus logo and our paper texture. And let's see what that does. So motion blur just adds a little bit of coherence to everything and makes things move a bit more smoothly through 3D space. Now that you've unlocked this, the opportunities are going to be endless. So go forward, have fun. Let me know in the comments what you've been able to build in 3D space within After Effects. I'd love to see what you're working on. Also, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is a subscribing member of the Envato Tuts Plus YouTube channel. It means a lot to have you on board. And don't worry, if you're not already subscribed, it's pretty easy. Hit that little red button just down below. Oh wait. Red button, easy as that. Now, we are brought to you by Envato Elements, and I mentioned it at the top of the video, but you can check the link in the description below to learn a little bit more about Envato Elements today. There is so many great digital assets up on the site. You will literally never get through it in a lifetime. There is so much content up there. So check out the link in the description below, and until next time, happy editing.